Happy Friday, Flosstube. Hello, crafty friends. How's everybody doing today? My name is Caroline. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to talk about the SALentine stitch along that starts next week, as well as give away a planner and offer up a new giveaway for this week. Happy Friday. It is Friday, February the 9th, 2024. I'm still in the habit of saying 2023, so I'm trying to get out of that habit. I'm recording here in London, Ontario, Canada, where I have my small business, Evertote, and yeah, next week is the start of our SALentine stitch along. So I will be recording, not daily videos, but I will be doing at least a couple videos a week. I am hosting this stitch along. This was it's both a chart that we're selling by itself, as well as we put out a box that had some extra special treats in it, but we'll talk more about those next week. The chart that we're going to be stitching together is by Modern Folk Embroidery, and it is called With Love, a SALentine Celebration. So this is our chart. The chart itself was not a mystery, clearly, but there are 3 additional charts in the box for the customers who purchased the full box, and those are a surprise until next week. So I'm really looking forward to the big reveal, for all of you to open up your special packages and to see what's inside, and so that we can share those together. So I will be starting. I'm going to prepare my fabric on Monday. The 3 colors that actually, I'll show you my fabric first. Just like with the holiday countdown, I usually try to find a piece of fabric here at the workshop that is a second, that I wouldn't necessarily sell as, you know, unless I was selling it as a second. But I have a piece of 40 count porcelain. You can see at the bottom here, it has some, what we figure this is, we had a couple of pieces that had this, these markings on them, and they did not appear on the raw linen before Carrie dyed them, and they came out when the linen was dyed. And so we think what it was maybe a bit of machine oil at this Weigart factory. Maybe something got on the linen there that was never, because it was clear, no one noticed it, and then it, you know, when it was dyed, just appeared. So anyways, it's at the very bottom of this 1/8 of a yard, so I'm gonna, you know, no one's gonna see it. I had a big mark on the side of my holiday countdown fabric, and no one is gonna know when it's all framed. Plenty of beautiful fabric here to stitch my piece. So 40 count porcelain linen, and the 3 colors that the chart calls for are raspberry puree, honeymoon, and oink. Sorry, I gave you the wrong order. Raspberry puree, honeymoon is the blue one, and then oink is the medium pink. So these are Roxy Flossco colors. Honeymoon was a new color that was developed for this chart, and I'm not certain that it's available as a single color. This might still only be being sold as the pack for this chart. But oink and raspberry puree have been in Carrie's collection for a little while. So those are the 3 colors, and I am going to be starting my stitching at the bottom. So we will have a certain number of stitches that we'll be trying to accomplish every day, so that we can finish this piece together in about a month. Yeah, oh, I love it so much. So that starts next week. I had a finish. I already shared this. I recorded a Flosstube yesterday with Carrie over on the workshop channel. Evertote Notes from the Workshop. Carrie and I do a joint Flosstube over there. So I have shared this already, but you know, when you have a finish, I've had 5 finishes this year so far, so I'm gonna be showing them at every opportunity. Darling Starling. And clearly, let me show you the original. Jacob's design, he designed it on a neutral light background and used green and red floss. I did a total opposite and used a 14 count pink Ada with 2 strands of floss. I used Roxy Floss Co. Hussy, and Legendary was the white. Legendary is one of my favorite white flosses that Carrie dyes. I just love the tone of it. And yeah, so Darling Starling, and this was my 5th finish for the year. My plan is to turn it into a floss folio and use it for a smalls exchange. So I think it's going to look really good. Did a terrible job folding that, didn't I? There. Yeah, I think it's gonna look really good. So where is my, I have one here. No, I took it home. It's got all of my stitching junk in it. So I don't even have a floss folio in front of me to show you. But it's kind of like an oversized needle bed, thread bed with room for, you know, different smaller projects. Yeah, so done. So giveaway. I'll share the winner of the planner in just a minute because I just showed you Darling Starling. I'm actually going to give this chart away this week. So this was my copy, and I'm finished with it, so it's time to pass it on. And I thought, well, let's see what else we can find here and make this a fun Friday surprise. And because next week is Valentine's Day, I have a heart notion pouch. I have a 25 gram Roxy Floss Co. surprise pack. You can see lots of beautiful colors in there, and a chickadee needle minder. Now the fun thing about this needle minder is this was the needle minder that we used in our very first, it was one of our Christmas, this came with the Jeanette Douglas holiday set that we put together, holiday collaboration 4 years ago now? 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Time is going so fast, so fast. But I have a few of these left and I just love them. So I thought, let's put a little love package together. And I love birds. So surprise floss pack, 25 grams, a notion pouch, my leftover chart that still looks like brand new, and the chickadee needle minder. So leave me a comment below, and I want you to use the word heart in your comment, and then I will choose a winner next Friday. So that's today's giveaway. And the winner of Lori's planner, oh, I need to show it to you, hang on. So this I was extremely fortunate to receive 2 copies in the mail. One from my friend Lori, who created this cross stitch planner, as well as a viewer, Joanne. Joanne sent me a copy. So I'm using the copy that Joanne sent me, and I am giving away the copy that Lori sent me. So I had 96 comments with the word planner in it, which is what I was looking for last year. I used the YouTube random comment generator picker thing, and the winner was Kathy Cullenstern 9652. Congratulations, Kathy. I will have put your comment up on the screen here so you can see it. And actually, I now see that I've been able to figure out, I'm sure it's been like this all along, but sometimes these things take me a little bit longer than they should. I can actually click directly through to Kathy's comment so that I can leave her a comment on her comment. So then you know that you won the giveaway. But I thought I would read you Kathy's comment because she had a question here that I missed. And that does happen, especially on these giveaway videos. I get a lot of comments, and sometimes sometimes I miss things easily because there's so many comments, but don't stop leaving me comments because I love them. Please don't stop. But anyways, she has a question here, and I thought usually, and a great comment, so I thought I would read it to you because I thought you would like it too. So Kathy says, I'm stitching more than ever and could use a planner to keep track. I used to railroad or let my needle spin as you do years ago, but now I do what Jean Farish does. So last Friday, I talked about ways that I was keeping my stitching neat. And I talked about railroading my thread with my needle, and also dropping my needle to let it spin to get rid of the twist in it. So the sort of second half of last Friday's video talks more about those things. So I do what Jane Farish does. Periodically, I take the needle off, I straighten the threads again. I run a damp sponge over the threads and thread the needle again. That's a pretty great idea. And you would really always have a nice flat lying floss. So now her question is, I just started the Jeanette Douglas spool design. If I just snip the threads at the bottom and use the cards like thread drops, the floss is about arm's length. It's not a big deal for this project because I'm doing one thread, so I do a waist knot. But when I do two threads, I usually do the loop start. I guess my question is, do most Roxy users just snip the bottom and use that length and not loop if using two strands? You forgot to update us on the garbage. Yes, I did. Okay, so there's two things in there. First thing, yes, I totally forgot to update you on the garbage, and I did talk about this in yesterday's video with Carrie, but because this is my little space on the internet, yes, the garbage situation was resolved. Oh my goodness. The Instagram page seemed to help. It seemed to do the trick on the Monday. I started tagging both the mayor and my city councillor and the London Free Press, which is our local newspaper. And I had a response from the city within a couple hours. And within another day and a half, both the bin was taken away first and everything was left behind on the ground, which I couldn't believe. Like, when I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it, I thought, for real? For real? And then later that afternoon, another team came back and cleaned up the mess. And I am just so grateful that it's done, it's taken care of, the mess is cleaned up. So 2 thumbs up, garbage situation for now has been resolved. So thank you for asking. And thank you all for your support in that situation. It was pretty horrendous, I'm not gonna lie. Second question, snipping the threads at the bottom and using the cards like thread drops. So yes, that is how I handle my floss. My battery light is just about to die. Let me change it. My batteries for my camera are my camera's getting old, and that means of course my batteries are getting old. And my what do you call it? I have one name brand battery that came with the camera, and then I have a third-party battery, and that third-party battery just does not last hardly at all. So I really need to get on and either purchase a new battery or possibly look at investing in a new camera, because there's a few other issues going on with this one. But anyways, you don't need to know about all that, do you? You don't care about that. You're here for the stitching. So thread, yes. So let me show you, because this is a great example. So I keep all of my projects floss that I use Carrie's floss for, Roxy Floss Co. I keep everything on a ring. Okay, it's these are so useful. These are little, they're called flexible keychains, and I purchased them in bulk from Amazon. Flexible keychains, and they have a little screw top, and they undo and they come together. You can get them in different colors. If you have trouble with arthritis in your fingers, don't over tighten them, because they can be tricky to undo if your fingers, especially if you're having a flare up and your fingers are tough, or maybe they're not the best solution in that case at all. I don't have terrible arthritis in my fingers. So, so this is Gwyneth's Bouquet. This is my floss pack for my friend Ellen's chart, Gwyneth's Bouquet. And you can see that the floss I have started to use, I have cut through the bottom. The floss that I haven't started to use is still got its original loop at the bottom. And the floss that is in use has been cut through the bottom. And because I'm stitching one strand of floss over two, I simply take my needle and I will wriggle out one strand, and I'll pull that strand out from the knot at the top, which then leaves the remainder of the floss still on the card. And I just use that single strand of floss, and then it's done. For two strands, what I will do is I will take out a grouping of 6, because you always want to have the same matching threads if you're using 2 strands, because this is a hand dye. If you use 2 strands from a different group of 6, you're going to have different places where the dye has hit along the thread. So you want those 2 strands to match up, which leads me to my next point, which is the loop start method, which I do not recommend when you're using hand dyed floss, because you're defeating the purpose of the dye process. You are changing where the dye hits. And so, I mean, absolutely you can do it, right? You can do whatever you want. If you love loop start method and you don't mind, it'll give you a much more subtle variegated look. And some of our floss is, a lot of our floss is very tonal. So in order to get the maximum bang for your variegation buck, you're going to want to use 2 strands side by side that are separate and not use the loop start. So that's my answer for that. What do you do with the leftover 4 strands if you're using, if you're pulling out a whole grouping of 6? Well, a couple of ways you can handle that. You can hole punch another hole in your card, and you can put it back on there. I'm too lazy to do that, so I'll just tuck it through the same hole. But now what I prefer to do, and I wish I had my floss folio here because I could show you, I just wind it up in a little round over my fingers, and then I stick it in my thread bed or my floss folio along with the cover photo of the project, or I just know that that particular flap of my book or that particular thread bed holds my leftover floss. And if I'm using, let's say I know that I'm using a dark red and a dark green, and I've got a dark red and a dark green leftover floss, I know which ones they are. And so that's where I'll keep my leftover floss for a current project in use. If it's a project that I'm going to be putting away for a substantial period of time, I would unwind that floss round and I would put it back on the tag, so that future me says thank you past me for labeling it, because otherwise I'm never going to remember which particular color it is. So yeah, but again, I'm not overly fussy. I don't bother punching an extra hole. I just stick it through the same one and knot it there. So I hope that answers your question, as well as I know if somebody has asked me a question, there's always many other people who want to know the same thing. So let me flip you around so you can see my, and please pardon the mess if you see part of my desk in this shot, because my desk is a mess, but maybe we'll get lucky and you won't see it. So that right there, do you see that thing? My dad made that. My dad made that for me when I started my business. It was my Christmas present, and it was a spool holder for all of my sewing threads, because Evertote started out as only a bag business. All I was making, all we were making were project bags. And so I had a lot of sewing thread. I still have a lot of sewing thread, but now here at Evertote, Matt does 99% of the sewing for Evertote now. So if you've received a project bag, or if you've purchased a project bag through Evertote, Matt is the one making them now, and he does such a lovely job. So I had this beautiful spool holder that my father made for me. It's a gorgeous gift. but I wasn't using it to hold my spools anymore. And I thought, you know, I want to use this for something. And Mom and Dad, I really hope you're watching this, because Dad, I've been so chuffed about this. I brought it here to the workshop, and now now that I can show you, look, you can see all of my projects, all of my big floss flexible keychains that have all of my project floss on them. They are labeled with the project name and designer, and then I hang them there. And then I keep my extra bits and pieces, so chart, and if my project is not on scroll rods, or I have other things that I'm, you know, keeping in one place for that project, a particular needle minder or a particular thread bed, that kind of, you know, sort of fussy things that we as stitchers really love to have, then I will use a project bag, and I will put these are wonderful, these things. So these are also, I believe I just purchased it on either Amazon or I bought it from Staples. These are Avery split ring key tags. So you can see this. See those little guys right there? And they go right on the zipper pull. And so they're super cheap. And I think I got 50. Yeah, there's 50 in the thing. So you just label what the project is, stick it on your zipper. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and super organized. And then I keep those project bags. I try to keep the project bag close to the scroll rods if I have the project on a pair of scroll rods. So anyways, hopefully somebody found that interesting. I could talk all day. I literally could talk all day, but I better go. I do have a lot of work to get to today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for sharing a cup of coffee with me, or a hot beverage or a cold beverage, wherever you are in the world. Happy Friday. I wish you a good weekend. I wish you a little bit of relaxation time if you can, if you have the ability to do so. Don't work too hard. Take a break. Enjoy some time just for yourself. Happy stitching, everybody. I'll see you next week. Take care.